Honda Civic Type R FL5 is one of the most hotly anticipated cars of 2023. Now, when this thing came out, it was huge. I mean, it's an amazing car. However, it had one problem. It cost £50,000 new. And now a lightly used one with a few thousand dealer miles would cost around £48,000, which is still a lot of money. However, there are still loads of modern hot hatches out there for around a tenth of that price, a budget I've never done before. Seat Leon Cupra R. Now this is a hot hatch you probably forgot about. It was overshadowed by things like the Golf R32 and the Civic Type R EP3. But what this thing was a Golf GTI that was taken away by Seat and given this fastback body, and under the bonnet is the higher output 180 engine from the Audi TT. Now this produces normally around 180 horsepower, although you can get even higher output variants with 225. However, in this budget, they're going to be extremely ropey, so I would not advise picking one of those up. But still, the 180 horsepower version is a great car and a great buy. The Renault Clio RS200. The Clio RS200 is, well, it's a masterpiece. Renault has built some of the world's best hot hatches, and this Clio was no exception. This thing is a brilliant car on track. It handles beautifully, the variable valve timing means you get great throttle response, and it's just an awesome car to have. Although as a daily it's a bit harsh. I mean, it's built to go around the track. I mean, Renault's got an F1 team, so what do you expect? But if you do like taking a car to track days, then this is perfect. It's also practical, it's still got all the amenities you'd want in a normal car, and I think it's a great all-rounder for our budget. You can even find the Cup version for this price. Mazda 3 MPS. The Mazda 3 MPS was basically a tuned version of the normal Mazda 3. It was fitted with a 2.3 litre turbocharged inline-4 producing 256 brake horsepower, making it the most powerful car on the list. This is a proper JDM hot hatch and it's awesome. I completely forgot about these. I don't know why I didn't include it, but this thing is such a great buy. However, the problem is they are climbing in value, especially the pre-facelift versions. In fact, this one is just hovering around our budget, and normally they're not going to be in mint condition. That's all I'll say. So if you want one, I would hurry. Honda Civic Type R. Now here is another JDM hot hatch, and this one, well, it's just a legend. The EP3 is one of the best variants of the Honda Civic Type R. This thing was a blast, it handled well, it went like hell, and this thing was so fun. However, the only thing I don't really like about it is the interior, but other than that, this thing is perfect. If you want to take this on track, just go ahead. If you want to make a sort of stance build, you can do that. And it's a Honda Civic, and it's got the K20 engine. So it's not only going to be reliable, but you could probably tune this thing up to well above 500 horsepower. Sadly, these are still going up in value, and they're not as cheap as they once were. Abarth 500 SS. The Abarth 500 SS was tuned by sort of Fiat's in-house tuning brand, Abarth. They were originally an exhaust company, and this car sounds amazing. I've got a sound clip at the end of this. It's got a 1.4 litre turbo, which is the smallest engine, and it only produces 160 horsepower, which is the least power, but it's actually still pretty close in performance to the Renault Clio, and it's considerably faster than the Seat Leon. This thing is really cool. It's got seating for 4, but it's not got a very big boot, and this is probably only good if you live in town. Issues aside, however, this is still more reliable than the Fiat 500, and just listen to it. Here is an SS in our budget, and there's enough money saved to buy an exhaust. Mini Cooper JCW. Yeah, you can get a John Cooper Works Mini in budget. It's going to be an R53, which was the supercharged Mini, and that's the good one, in my opinion. I like those. The supercharged engine was tuned by this in-house tuner, again, like the Abarth, to produce 221 horsepower, which is nearly 50 over the original. This thing is amazing, and they're ridiculously fast, and if you get the supercharger pulley and an exhaust, they sound so good. Here is one for $3,750. Ford Focus ST. Now the Ford Focus ST is the best investment on the list. Fast Fords always are. This one is extremely cheap now, but in a few years you're probably going to double your money, because fast Ford enthusiasts love these. These have the 2.5 litre Volvo engine, which has a turbocharger and sounds insane with an exhaust. Although there is one problem which I don't like, and that's the styling. They're a bit sort of bloated, and I'm not really keen on that. However, if you like that, then I'm not going to judge. $4,800 should actually get you a pre-facelift version. Volkswagen Golf GTI. The Golf GTI basically had a place on this list from the start. This thing was basically the ancestor of all hot hatches. And this one is basically the generation that changed things. It took away the underpowered reputation of the Mark IV Golf GTI and gave it 50 extra horsepower, a new body, and completely revitalised the handling, and this thing is a masterpiece. Only trouble is that low mileage examples are basically non-existent. They're all basically over 90,000 miles. I mean, they are commuter cars at the end of the day, but still, they are Golfs, they are pretty reliable and very cheap to look after. Citron DS4 THP 200. Now I know that name sounds like a postcode, but ignore that. This is a fast Citroen, something very, very unusual. Citroen are the only French brand which aren't really known for their hot hatches. I mean, they were back in the 80s and 90s, but this is a modern one, and that's extremely cool. Of course I wanted a DS3 Racing on the list, but I mean, they're pretty rare cars. This is the next best thing. It's got the same engine as the DS3 Racing, however, it's not fast. It's the slowest car on the list, 0-60 in 7.9 seconds, but it does still get a top speed of 146 miles an hour, which is pretty good. And considering everyone forgot about these, they're very, very cheap. So that is this week's buyer's guide all wrapped up. So what do you think of the buyer's guide? Do you like any of these cars? Do you own any of these cars? Do you have any suggestions for any future buyer's guides? If you like this video, please subscribe for more in the future, and until next time, goodbye.